Hey Steelers Nation, let's dive deep into something pretty unique that went down at practice recently. Something you won't find anywhere else because it's those little behind-the-scenes moments that tell the real story of what's happening with this team. Picture this. It's a practice session at St. Vincent College, and what should have been a routine run-through stretches out about 15 to 20 minutes longer than usual. That might not seem like a huge deal on paper, but when you're an athlete grinding through these camps day after day, that extra time feels like an eternity. Fatigue sets in, nerves fray, and tempers start to bubble under the surface. Now, amid that rising tension, the kind that leads to quick shoves and brief clashes, nothing serious, but enough to get everyone's attention, something caught my eye down at the far end zone. Not the spot where the usual interviews happen, but on the opposite side, the end zone to the left if you're sitting in the Chuck Noll Field bleachers. There, it was pretty quiet except for me and Terrell Austin. Austin was there for a reason, to get a good vantage point and watch how his defensive guys were going to handle a 7-on-7 drill, a fast-paced, no-contact setup that tests a lot of instincts and communication. Aaron Rodgers was right in the thick of it, as you'd expect. The guy never seems to dial it down, no matter the setting. Early in one of these snaps, he tried connecting with Roman Wilson on a crossing route inside the end zone. Wilson did a great job gaining separation, getting enough of a step to push Brandon Eckles, the defender, into a slightly compromised position. That little cheat move Eckles made is pretty common in camps where defenders try to guess the play early, and often it's the defense that has the edge in these drills because of it. What happened next was a classic moment that showed both the competitiveness and the drama of camp life. Eckles reached out and just barely got the back of his right hand on the ball Rodgers threw. In a real game, that might have been flagged as defensive pass interference, something Austin joked about. But even in jest, there was truth in it. It's the kind of subtle, physical play that coaches scrutinize and that players use to test each other's limits. But then the heat turned up. Eckles, who has been impressing everyone not just with his skill, but with a feisty, almost aggressive attitude, started jawing at Wilson while they walked back toward the line of scrimmage. Eckles was trailing Wilson, pushing into his space even though he didn't really need to be that close, showing that hunger and edge that's so crucial for a player trying to carve out a role. What happened next was straight out of a leadership playbook. Rodgers, overhearing the back and forth, wasn't having any of it. From where I stood, his voice carried clearly, not just to me, but to about 200 other people gathered on the grassy hillside nearby. "Don't talk to my player. Talk to me," Rodgers shouted at Eckles. It wasn't just a warning. It was a clear, commanding message that Rodgers is not just the quarterback, but the captain who protects his guys. There was a bit more exchange after that, too quiet to catch the words exactly, but the tone was firm and unyielding. Rodgers, who clearly has that respect and authority that comes with being a 4-time most valuable player and a first-ballot Hall of Famer in his 21st season, added something that showed the unique dynamic between these players. "I love you, but don't talk to my player." That line is packed with meaning. It's a blend of camaraderie and a firm boundary that says, this is my team, this is my family. And just like that, everything snapped back to normal. The tension evaporated, the practice resumed, and the moment became one of those stories that remind you why leadership on and off the field matters so much. I caught up with Eckles after practice, curious about his take on the whole thing. And honestly, the guy was beaming, big smile, full of energy. Far from being rattled, he was embracing the moment, seeing it as a sign that he's back to the player he used to be before some tough times in New Jersey. He talked about how this camp feels different, how being around guys like Jalen Ramsey, who is known as one of the premier trash talkers in the league, has helped him find his spark again. That sense of fitting in, of belonging to a team with a strong identity, is a huge boost for a player's confidence and performance. Now, Rodgers isn't just showing his leadership through moments like that confrontation. He's also been vocal during interviews, particularly about players like Roman Wilson. Rodgers has emphasized how important it is for Wilson to get out of his own head, to stop trying so hard to please coaches or teammates, and just play with confidence and comfort in his own skin. That advice seems to be hitting home because Wilson's performance in practice has visibly improved. There was a lot of speculation earlier in the offseason about how invested Rodgers would be in this chapter of his career with the Steelers. Would he come just to play out the season? Would he really buy into the team and its culture? Judging by what I've seen and heard from him, from minicamp through to now, those worries seem misplaced. Rodgers has shown that he's not only here to lead the offense, but to be a true captain for the whole squad. That kind of leadership is rare and impressive, especially for a player in his position and stage of career. Speaking of leadership and depth, the Steelers have been making some intriguing moves in the defensive backfield. The arrival of Jalen Ramsey and the adjustments in defensive schemes by Coach Mike Tomlin have created a situation where the team might feature 4 cornerbacks heavily involved when a regular season kicks off. That's a significant upgrade, showing that the team is serious about locking down opponents through strong, versatile coverage. Beanie Bishop, a player who hasn't gotten much spotlight, has quietly been doing his part. While he hasn't flashed standout moments yet, he's holding his ground, contributing on special teams, and showing the kind of grit that coaches value. At 25 years old, he still has room to grow and fight for a bigger role, especially as preseason games start and he gets more chances to shine. All these pieces, the fierce competitiveness, the leadership, the emerging young talent, the veterans setting the tone, are coming together in a way that suggests the Steelers are not just preparing for games, but building a team culture rooted in accountability and passion. The energy around the camp is real, and the stories behind the scenes are where you see the heart of this team beating strong. As we continue to peel back the layers of this Steelers training camp, it becomes clear that what's unfolding is much more than just football drills and physical conditioning. It's a story about identity, resilience, and the subtle battles that define a team so long before the regular season kicks off. One of the most fascinating dynamics to watch is how the mix of youth and veteran presence shapes the atmosphere. On one side, you have the seasoned stars like Aaron Rodgers, a player who has seen it all, whose very presence commands respect and sets a tone. On the other, there's a wave of younger guys hungry to prove themselves, eager to carve out their own space in a league where nothing is guaranteed. Then there's Roman Wilson, who is quietly becoming a pivotal figure in the offense. Rodgers has spoken openly about how Wilson needs to relax, to trust his instincts rather than trying to overthink every route or play. It's a challenge that many young receivers face. The pressure to impress can sometimes become a burden. But the beauty of this situation is seeing how a veteran like Rodgers is mentoring Wilson not just in technique, but in mindset. That kind of guidance is invaluable, and Wilson's improved performances suggest he's internalizing it. It's these kinds of relationships between a quarterback and his receivers that often determine how successful an offense can be. Moving beyond the offense, the defensive backfield is undergoing its own transformation. The addition of Jalen Ramsey brings a swagger and a verbal edge that instantly energizes the secondary. Mike Tomlin's defensive schemes have evolved, incorporating a concept known as coverage people, where versatility and adaptability are key. This means whether a cornerback is inside or outside, the expectation is that they can handle complex coverage responsibilities. That's a tall order, but one that Steelers defenders are stepping up to meet. Alongside Ramsey and Eckles, players like Porter are finding unique roles, sometimes pushing the line of scrimmage and applying pressure in ways that surprise opposing offenses. Beanie Bishop's journey adds another layer to this narrative. Though he hasn't had the flashiest moments so far, his persistence and contributions on special teams cannot be overlooked. Special teams are often where unsung heroes build their reputations, and Bishop's experience, along with his 4 interceptions from last season, provide a foundation that could see him grow into a more prominent role. The fact that he's only 25 means the window for his impact is still wide open. What's encouraging is his attitude. No signs of frustration or defeat, just a steady commitment to grinding and improving. That kind of mindset is exactly what coaches want to see when deciding who earns snaps on game day. Looking at the bigger picture, the Steelers camp is a microcosm of what the team aspires to be: resilient, hungry, and fiercely loyal. The way Rodgers has taken ownership, not just of the offense, but of the locker room culture, signals a shift. This isn't a team merely waiting for the next big star to carry them. It's a collective pushing toward a shared goal, with clear roles and expectations. That leadership, combined with a fresh infusion of talent, has created a palpable sense of optimism. It's also worth noting the subtle but significant role that communication plays here. On the surface, football is a game of physicality and speed, but underneath it all, it's about connection and understanding. The back and forth between players during drills, the verbal challenges, and even the moments of tension serve a purpose. They build trust, test boundaries, and ultimately strengthen bonds. When Rodgers steps in and tells Eckles to speak to him, he's not just enforcing respect. He's fostering a culture where everyone knows where they stand and what's expected. Training camps often reveal as much about a team's character as any game ever will. The extra minutes on the field, the heated exchanges, the mentorship moments, they're all part of a complex process that transforms a collection of athletes into a cohesive unit. For the Steelers, this camp feels different. There's a renewed energy, a sense that the team is not only preparing physically, but is also evolving mentally and emotionally. The integration of new players, the refinement of strategies, and the clear leadership from veterans like Rodgers create an environment where each practice feels like a stepping stone towards something bigger. It's a reminder that in the NFL, success rarely comes from raw talent alone. It comes from culture, discipline, and the unrelenting will to push forward despite setbacks. So as the Steelers continue to navigate this camp, the story being written is one of growth and transformation. Every snap, every interaction, every piece of advice exchanged on the field contributes to shaping a team that is ready to face the grueling demands of the season ahead. The foundation is being laid not just for wins and losses, but for a team identity that players and fans alike can believe in. This blend of veteran savvy and youthful ambition, all under the guidance of a leader like Rodgers, is what could define the Steelers' journey this year. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a stunning development that has sent shockwaves through the NFL community, there's growing speculation that quarterback Kenny Pickett has parted ways with the Pittsburgh Steelers and signed with one of their most bitter rivals. While no official confirmation has been made by either franchise involved, several insiders and social media reports suggest that Pickett's departure is all but finalized, with whispers pointing toward a dramatic switch that has left Steelers fans reeling. Pickett, once seen as the future of Pittsburgh football and a hometown hero from the University of Pittsburgh, now finds himself at the center of a controversy that is quickly boiling over. Analysts are already questioning what led to such a move, with theories ranging from behind-the-scenes disagreements to contract disputes and a desire for a fresh start. Whatever the cause, the very idea of Pickett donning the jersey of a rival team has ignited fierce debate among fans and pundits alike. Many believe the tension had been building for months, hidden beneath surface-level smiles and press conference pleasantries. Now, as the rumor mill churns at full speed, questions swirl around the future of both Pickett and the Steelers, whose fan base appears to be spiraling into disbelief. Sources close to the situation have hinted that the rival team in question may be the Cleveland Browns or even the Baltimore Ravens, both longtime adversaries of the Steelers and franchises known for intense on-field clashes with Pittsburgh. Such a move would not only be unprecedented, but could redefine divisional dynamics for years to come. Imagining Kenny Pickett leading an offense against his former team twice a year is a scenario few Steelers supporters ever wanted to entertain. The emotional backlash has been swift and unforgiving across social media, with hashtags like #PickettTraitor and #SteelCurtainBetrayed trending nationally. Some fans are already burning his jersey, while others plead for the franchise to clarify the situation before rumors morph into reality. There is also a faction of the fan base that remains skeptical, viewing this as nothing more than off-season noise, an elaborate hoax, or a misinterpreted development blown out of proportion by click-hungry bloggers. However, those familiar with the inner workings of the NFL maintain that where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And in this case, the smoke appears to be thick and persistent. If the rumors prove true, the AFC North could witness a rivalry storyline that eclipses even its most heated chapters of the past. Despite the chaos, others speculate that this entire situation may have been orchestrated to shake the foundations of Pittsburgh's leadership. Some insiders believe Pickett grew increasingly frustrated with the team's offensive scheme and lack of consistent support from coaching staff. The Steelers have struggled in recent seasons to maintain a cohesive offense, and whispers suggest Pickett may have quietly explored exit strategies long before news of a possible departure surfaced. This latest development could be the culmination of months of dissatisfaction bubbling beneath the surface. Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that Pickett has recently unfollowed several Steelers-related accounts on social media, a move modern fans interpret as a telltale sign of unrest or change. Moreover, cryptic posts from his inner circle hint at a new chapter and unleash potential, leading many to believe that a formal announcement is imminent. If Pickett truly felt that his talents were being underutilized in Pittsburgh, then switching to a rival might serve not only as a fresh beginning, but also a personal mission to prove his doubters wrong. Regardless of motive, the possibility alone has thrust both franchises into the national spotlight. Meanwhile, within the Steelers organization, the response has been suspiciously quiet, which only adds to the speculation. Coach Mike Tomlin, typically outspoken in the face of media scrutiny, has declined to comment, as have key members of the front office. Their silence is being interpreted in many circles as an implicit acknowledgement that something seismic may indeed be unfolding. Could they already be planning for life after Pickett? Reports have emerged that the Steelers are actively scouting quarterbacks and even considering a potential trade to bring in an experienced veteran. Names like Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, and even a surprise comeback from Mitch Trubisky have been floated, albeit without confirmation. The vacuum left by Pickett, should the rumors prove accurate, will be difficult to fill, both from a talent perspective and in terms of public perception. Steelers fans have long valued loyalty and grit, and a high-profile defection to a rival would cut especially deep. The locker room dynamics are also in question, with sources suggesting that some players are shocked and disappointed, while others are more understanding of Pickett's apparent decision. Internal morale may be in flux as uncertainty lingers over training camp. As the NFL preseason approaches, this rumor is likely to dominate headlines and cast a long shadow over the Steelers' 2025 campaign. Should Kenny Pickett officially sign with a rival, the narrative of betrayal will be inescapable, especially during divisional matchups. Commentators are already salivating over the media frenzy such a storyline would generate, with potential TV ratings skyrocketing for any future Pickett versus Steelers clash. Meanwhile, analysts continue to debate the long-term implications for both parties. For Pickett, the risk of alienating an entire city is significant, but so is the opportunity to reinvent himself as a true franchise leader elsewhere. For Pittsburgh, the challenge will be reclaiming control of their narrative, reinforcing team cohesion, and reassuring a passionate fan base that all is not lost. Until an official statement is made, the sports world remains in a holding pattern, gripped by speculation and driven by emotion. But one thing is certain. If even a portion of these rumors are true, the fallout will be dramatic, divisive, and unforgettable. The story of Kenny Pickett's exit could become one of the most talked about moments in recent NFL history, one rooted not just in strategy, but in heartbreak. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.